Preface of the French Revolution. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit librivox.org. Recording by Beth Thomas. The French Revolution by Robert Matteson Johnston. Preface. The object of this book is similar to that with which, a few years ago, I wrote a short biography of Napoleon. The main outlines of the revolution, the proportion and relation of things, tend to become obscured under the accumulation of historical detail that is now proceeding. This is an attempt, therefore, to disentangle from the mass of details the shape, the movement, the significance of this great historical cataclysm. To keep the outline clear, I have deliberately avoided mentioning the names of many subordinate actors, thinking that if nothing essential was connected with them, the mention of their names would only tend to confuse matters. Similarly with incidents, I have omitted a few, such as the troubles at Avignon, and changed the emphasis on others, judging freely their importance and not following in the footsteps of my predecessors, as in the case of the capture of the Bastille, the importance of which was vastly exaggerated by early writers on the subject. The end of the Revolution I place at Brumaire, a good a date as any, though like all others open to criticism. The present narrative, however, will be found to merge into that of my Napoleon, which forms its natural continuation after that date. R. M. Johnson, Cambridge, Massachusetts, February 1909. End of preface.
Chapter 1 of the French Revolution. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit librivox.org. Recording by Pamela Nagami, M.D. The French Revolution by Robert Matteson Johnston. Chapter 1. The Perspective of the French Revolution. The magnitude of an event is too apt to lie with its reporter, and the reporter often fails in his sense of historical proportion. The nearer he is to the event, the more authority he has as a witness, but the less authority as a judge. It is time alone can establish the relation and harmony of things. This is notably the case with the greatest event of modern European history, the French Revolution, and the first task of the historian writing a century later is to attempt to catch its perspective. To do this, the simplest course will be to see how the Revolution has been interpreted from the moment of its close to the present day. It was Madame de Staël, under the influence of Constant, who first made Europe listen to reason after the Bourbon Restoration of 1815. Her Considérations sur la Révolution Française, published in 1818, 1 year after her death, was a bold though temperate plea for the cause of political liberty. At a moment of reaction, when the Holy Alliance proclaimed the fraternity not of men but of monarchs, and the direct delegation by divine providence of its essential virtues to Alexander, Frederick William, and Francis, at a moment when the men of the Convention were proscribed as regicides, when the word Jacobin sent a thrill of horror down every respectable spinal cord, the daughter of Necker raised her voice to say that if during the stormy years just past the people of France had done nothing but stumble from crime to folly and from folly to crime, the fault did not, after all, lie with them, but with the old regime. If Frenchmen had failed to show the virtues of freemen, it was because they had for so many centuries been treated as slaves. This was in 1818, 3 years after Waterloo. Madame de Staël was a pamphleteer. The historians soon followed. Thiers in 1823, Mignet in 1824 produced the first important histories of the Revolution, the former more eloquent, more popular, the latter more ballasted with documentary evidence, more accurate, more pedestrian, in fact, to this day, in its negative manner, one of the best general histories of the matter. Both of these writers were too near their subject and too hampered by the reactionary surroundings of the moment to be successful when dealing with the larger questions the French Revolution involved. Thiers, going a step beyond Madame de Staël, fastened eagerly
Sample complete. Ready to continue?